Okay. All right. So welcome everyone to tonight's event. And tonight we are discussing online dating and specifically why it doesn't work and shouldn't be our go-to for dating. So what do I mean when I say that? I'm not saying it doesn't work at all. There are definitely people that it can work for, but we need to put a lot of thought behind this. We need to think about what is actually transpiring, and we need to find a way to translate this electronic communication into real world communication, right? So where two people are in front of each other and can speak to each other with their voices. You can't have a relationship with someone effectively. Now, I'm talking effective, good, positive relationships here, unless you are able to have that happen. Now, so let's talk about what happens online. And when I say it doesn't work, I mean it's not necessarily as effective and it's not as easy. And why is that? Okay. So let's think about people in our lives that we love and care about, right? We want to think about those that we, uh-oh, I'm sorry, guys. I think my cat, my kitty cat, I think is sick. I heard cat coughing. If you can find him and check on him. The other one, though. So sorry about that. I just heard my cat not doing well. So when we are going to date someone, we need to feel some kind of a connection to that person, and that usually comes on a level where we can read somebody's body language. We know how they speak. We know what they sound like. So when we think of people in our lives that we love, our parents, our children, our friends, our siblings, what do we know about them? We know what they sound like. We know what they look like. We know what they like. We know what they don't like, right? But when we meet someone on a dating site, do we know any of these things? No, we don't. We see a photo, right? We see a profile. We see some basic data about a person. But here's the question: what's true and what's not? It's so easy for people to distort who they really are. They can distort their height, their weight, their looks, what they do, right? So we have enough trouble if we meet somebody in person. Well, they say, oh, I'm a banker or I'm a doctor, Are they really, or are they just saying that? Well, we don't know until we do some research and get to know them a little bit more. Am I right or am I wrong? So, one thing is there's people who decide to fall in love with someone when they've never met them and they've never spoken to the person, at least on the phone. Or now we have this fantastic video chat. So I think everybody should be taking advantage of that. I mean, why text when you can video chat? If you really want a relationship, if someone doesn't really want a relationship, they're probably not going to want a video chat or meet you or talk to you on the phone. And that's an indication that you may be dealing with somebody who's not really looking and not really interested in a relationship with you. So there's so many fakes and fraudulent people now. I mean, the dating sites, from what I've seen in my experience, are just gotten worse than ever. I mean, there's so many people preying on other people and just looking to either find somebody for money, fake them out, get their personal information. There's so much fraud, and we really have to be aware of these things. And I know that for me, there are definitely things that I look for right away in the way that they talk, present themselves, and think about it. Is this person speaking in the way that I know somebody else from my area would speak, right? Um, so, and then there's like what I call the seduction of the text message. Oh, we see somebody online. Oh, well, let's text. It sounds so fun, right? Oh man, I can talk to this person via text message. Woohoo! Yes, score. Mm, let's step back a little bit, because if you just found somebody who just wants to text, so here's all the questions that should come to our minds. Okay, does this person, number one, is this person a liar? Number two, does this person have poor communication skills? Number three, is this person just texting a whole bunch of people? Does this person have no life? Is this person out to scam me? Right? So while it sounds like, yeah, scored, let's just sit there and waste our time texting for hours and days and months, right? And then what happens? You never see them, you never talk to them, you never meet them. You just wasted your time, right? So we want to try to avoid these things. So what we need to remember, number one, is the lying. Now, we know that lying comes with dating just in real life. If we go on a date and meet somebody, and it's like 1,000 times easier when you're dealing with somebody you've never had to speak to or never had to meet face to face. Because what's something that's generally harder to do for people? Well, it's generally harder to lie directly to somebody's face if they are right in front of you. I'm not saying people don't do it, but it's usually harder. But texting, oh, that's so easy. It can be lie after lie after lie, right? No problem. This person isn't real. They're not really in front of me. I can say whatever I want to say, right? So it's really easy to lie to somebody you've never met, somebody you never think you're going to meet. And then when you talk to someone via texting, or emailing them, it's really easy to hurt them. So what is something that so I typically I I don't like to throw anybody under the bus because it can go both ways. But for me, um, you know, men want to avoid confrontation. I know tons of us do. But if a man can avoid a confrontation with a woman, he will do that, right? So we need to remember this when we think, oh, why did the guy I was just dating break up with me via text message? He was trying to avoid confrontation with you, right? So what does that say? I'm going to use texting as ways to avoid things. So in our world now, it's so easy, right? But easy doesn't mean better, but it's so easy to hide and crawl into our shells and sit just behind a screen and, oh, I don't have to talk to anybody. For some people, that's good and they don't want to talk to anyone. They just want to hide and be like, have a little relationship and never really have to communicate, never grow, never learn, never build skills, never build real intimate relationships with people. And I feel like texting has just made this worse. I feel like, people were finally kind of coming out of their shells or learning that they needed to communicate. And now it's like the little turtles crawling back in the shell. And now they don't have to communicate. Oh, well, texting, it's easier. And I hate hearing that. Okay, you'll see me. I do the whole dramatic. Oh, but it's easier. I call it the easier wine. But remember, easier is not better or effective. Easy is easy. What you get what you put into something. So if somebody's doing something easy, they're not putting in an effort. That means they're not putting an effort into you. They're not trying. They don't care if there's no effort, right? So just some few things to think about. So now on the other end, people can self-sabotage themselves with dating profiles. They can use unflattering photos, have low energy, displaying low effort. They sound generic or cliche, using poor grammar or pickup lines, and they may not be giving the best first impression. And then you can see this. You can see what kind of a person are you dealing with? Do you want somebody who just does things easy, that doesn't care, that doesn't put any kind of effort? Is that what you want for your future? It's not what I want for my future. Now, if you do find somebody online and maybe you're like, you're emailing them maybe on Match, and you're connecting with them, maybe you got to talk to them on the phone. I find that if somebody is afraid to talk to you on the phone and they can't have a conversation, that's not really somebody I want to meet in real life. Like I've talked to guys who they were writing me really nice, friendly emails. And then I got them on the phone and ooh, they were so mean and rude. Or like one guy, I called him and I said, "Hi, this is Staci." And he's like, "Yeah, I know." What? It's like, what am I supposed to do with that? Right? But right there, it says, you have no personality. You are not somebody I want to continue to talk to, right? You can cross them off the list, right then and there. So, but when you think you have found that person that sounds great, I suggest asking for help from friends or family. Show them your messages, show them this person's profile, get other input that maybe, because we've got the hopes up and, the romance is going. And, sometimes we need somebody to make sure that we are, seeing things accurately and that we're not missing something. We're not missing signs or warning signs that could indicate trouble for us, meaning trouble where this person may not be truthful, or this person's got photos posted from 10, 20 years ago. I once found guys who lied. There was like 3 guys I had found like in a row, believe it or not. And they were all lying about their age by 10 years. And was such a crack up because somebody had claimed that they went to the same high school as me. And I was like, "Oh, what's your name? You must be in my yearbook." And they were like, then they had to reveal, okay, you figure it out. I'm really 10 years older, right? So these things can happen. So that's why I say try to, get some additional input if you can. Reading between the lines, right? So here's what I was talking about earlier. When we find somebody, who seems interesting, seems like somebody we're attracted to, seems like somebody we have something in common with, but we want to look for that effort. And it's so hard anymore because you've got um, people, it's like, okay, well, this person's not good enough. There's just thousands of other people I can go to. Well, that's another reason why um, we want to have our radar going with the online dating, because there are tons of options. And as soon as somebody doesn't work, we're just on to the next one, right? It's just really easy to do that. So we want to maybe look for other places that we can meet people, and we want to build that confidence and the ability to speak with somebody face to face. We don't want to stay hidden behind screens, because that can lead to depression, loss of social skills. It can lead to anxiety. It can lead to, limited viewpoint. And, then we lose our friends and ourself, and we wonder, why am I alone? Why does nobody want to be with me? Well, what are you doing to alienate yourself? What are you doing to, keep yourself in a shell? Right? We want to make sure that we're being, growing as a person, that we're using all of our skills and our senses, eyes, ears, sound, smell, everything. We want to um, put that forward. And then there's the sex issue, right? There are people out there who may be just looking for that. So we need to read between the lines, looking to see if that's what the other person's intention is. And does your intention match that other person's intentions? Okay, we need to be aware of these things and what are the signs. And I've done online dating for a long time, and I can pretty much tell you, if you don't know already, oh God, people follow the same patterns. It's like, did you everybody go to the same school? Because you can find patterns pretty easily, because most men just follow, or women, I'm sure too, follow the same patterns over and over. So once you see it happen for one person, it's pretty much, if the other person says the same thing, then you know what their intentions are. What I think, we need to set the tone early. So if we're just acting like texting's okay, or saying certain things is okay, without putting up some kind of no, this isn't acceptable to me. Here's what is. As soon as you let something go, then they will just continue to do things that maybe maybe you would prefer they didn't, but you allowed it. So we can't expect things to change if we just continue to allow it. And especially with the texting, like as soon as guys are like, oh, well, let's just text. And I'm like, no, because I know from experience that it's a waste of time. It's a big fat waste of time. Why? Because I don't know the person. I don't know what they sound like. I don't know who they really are. I don't know what their real height is. I don't know what their real story is. I haven't met them. Until I do that, I can't just sit and text somebody. So, what I have learned is that when people just want to do that, they're just blowing smoke up my butt. They're just wasting my time. Really. They don't really want a relationship. And you need to point that out to people. And they can say, oh, no, no, no. Truth comes from action. Truth comes from action, not words. All right. So, what's most important in a relationship, right? So, I just put a few things up here on the screen, and there's a bunch more, but let's think about this, right? So, I'm comparing here texting to talking in person, right? Where words are coming out of my mouth and the other person's there, words are coming out of his mouth and we are communicating, right? So what can I do with texting that I can do when I can see a person? Well, I can't read a person's emotions, which is something that's very important to me. I pretty much live my life reading other people. I feel like it's just something that I do. I like to understand people. I like to read their emotions. And when I can't do that, I kind of hit a roadblock in my mind. If I can't see the undertones, if I can't laugh with a person, and hey, I tend to be very sarcastic. I take I tell sarcastic jokes. And you know what? Like you see me right now, I talk with my hands. I can't talk with my hands on a text. You can't really get me. I can't, like, to me, people won't really know me on a text because I'll just type a couple things and then I'm like, so I have my phone right here. So that's what I'm doing. I'll just put a few things. But if you were in front of me, I'd be saying a whole lot more than I do on the phone. So that's something to consider where it's like my tolerance for the texting is very low. So I won't say very much. But if you're with me in person, then you can know I'm a talker and I can go on and on about stuff, which some people, such as Melissa, knows that I can about things that I get fired up over, right? So that's this one. And then there's this other thing that it always kind of shocks me. And I actually went to journalism school at Penn State University. So I was in journalism major. I didn't finish it as a journalism major, but I did start as one. And something that I learned, because this when I went was kind of like on the verge of cell phones and internet developing. But what I learned is when you write something down, that is usually permanent, right? You can't take it back. But if I say something, I can be like, oh, wait, no, I didn't mean it that way. Let me rephrase it once I hear it, right? But when somebody texts something to somebody and then you try to do that, it's like, oh, well, you said that and that was really mean or hurtful, or I don't like you, or da 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 da. You can't take it back, right? So that's something to think about. And even going back to the laughing, I like to be able to laugh and joke and I make little comments. I'm a big Seinfeld fan. Hey, Robin, thumbs up on the Seinfeld. And that's, um, I'm like that, making the little observations. I love doing stuff like that. And people can't pick that up about me on them when I just do a text. So, but when we talk to somebody in person, we can share emotions, we can connect and feed off of, because maybe somebody else, thinks about things the same way you do, right? So that's just some other things to think about. And so and some more things about how effective relationships work, right? So we want to have, I want to see you in a good, effective relationship, meaning it works for you. You can connect with the other person. You can have a conversation. You're there for each other, right? So relationships, we're there for each other, we laugh with each other, we cheer each other up, we know what we like and what we don't, we say I'm sorry, we work through things, we care about the other person's feelings, we smile. Smiles go a long way for people. I know we can send little smiley faces when the text, and that's nice, but it's much more powerful and effective to really see a person's face. We don't try and trick somebody in a relationship. We're honest, we help and we support each other, right? These are just a few things. So I would encourage you to think about what really makes an effective relationship and really try to make sure that you are relaying that you care about these things to your potential mate. Oh, now here comes back to the sex issue, right? And I'm just going to share this, right? And if everybody doesn't know it, so here it is, but I'm sure you all do just in case. But do not go to someone else's house unless you plan to sleep with them, right? Okay. Don't even think about it any other way. Somebody's like, oh, well, just come over and hang out. Oh, yeah. No, I don't want to come over and sleep with you. I'm not looking to come and have sex with you. You know, guys will, and I'll say that because I'll get guys texting me that all the time. And then I'll say, no, I'm not coming over to have sex with you. And then they try to say, oh, well, I wasn't going to have sex. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I was born yesterday. I know I look that young, right? I'm stupid, right? So I don't care if you take no other lesson than this out of this presentation, please take this one. Anytime someone asks you to come to their house, they want to have sex with you. Okay. Don't think anything else. Anything else is a lie, and I won't believe it if you try to tell me anything else. Okay. So, and the whole thing, let's hang out, AKA let's have sex. If anybody says any different, I'm sorry. I can't, I can't believe you. All right. So that is just key indicators when people say that, they're not saying let's have sex. They're saying, why don't we just get together and hang out? Yeah, that should be a big red flag right there. Now, if that's your mojo, then that's what you look for. If it's not, then you know what to do. And thing to remember is we tend to think that, real life is like TV or movies. Remember, we want to live in reality and not a fantasy. Things that happen on reality TV or, the movies, that's let's make sure we're not just thinking, oh, this is a fantasy. This is like what happens in the movies. It's not necessarily the way real life works in my experience. So what are some solutions to this whole online dating mishmash mess that we've got going? Sorry, that's what I call it. I call it a mishmash mess. um, Building our social skills, getting out of the house, getting out from behind your phone. I was actually just listening to a presentation by a lady named Vanessa Van Edwards, and I definitely suggest listening to Vanessa if you have a chance, if you're looking to build communication skills, because she does a lot of research on that. And something that she says, we don't want to stop people from talking to us because maybe we're just sitting there texting on our phones because we're nervous or we have anxiety or I need something to do. I need something to do every second of the day. Well, can you look around and maybe see people that you can talk to instead of being on your phone, because you may be stopping a potential mate from coming over and saying hi to you by doing that. So I'd encourage you to stop what I call hiding, right? People can hide behind text messages. They hide behind who they really are. And they know who you want them to be, but they're not really them. So they're going to pretend for you. So they're hiding who they really are. And that's really what's unfortunate, that thing that happens. And I hope that we can find a way to avoid that. But that's what I have for you on that. And you can of course reach me at coachstaciann@yahoo.com or coachstaciann.com. I'm still working on that website, guys. I hope to have that updated by the end of the year. So let me stop my screen share. So I think we've got some things here in the chat. Let's see. So you are muted, but if you want to ask a question, I think you should be able to just unmute yourself and go ahead and ask. I know, let's see. Carly says some guides on dating sites are perverted, creepy, and inappropriate. And you know what? You're absolutely right. And one thing, and I hate to have to say this one. So when we get the photo of the private parts that we did not ask for, that would be another indication of maybe that's somebody we don't want to interact with, right? So does it get better after that? Well, if you are just looking for the same thing that that person is, which sounds like it's sex, then maybe that's a match made in heaven. But if you're not, if you're actually looking for somebody you can build a friendship, a relationship with, communication with, that person may not be on the same page as you, right? So, yeah, they definitely are, Carly, and I have not thought of the cure for that yet, but it's just kind of, I think, building people's awareness, and I believe it's like giving the pushback, saying I'm not going to accept that behavior from you, is, I feel like that's the start in the right direction. So let's see, just went through that recently. Way too much gets lost in translation. And, it's something else that I'm working on with my doctorate is, communication and leadership communication. And there's people who just expect that what we say is understood and accepted in the way that we intend it to be. And the reality is, a lot of times it isn't. We need to dialogue back and forth to fully make sure we're understanding the intention. Let's see. Lori says you've mentioned online dating for how long is that? Lori, yeah, Lori. Yeah, I'd say on and off probably 20 years. Yeah. Yeah. I've tried it probably, on and off. So it's been a while. So I can tell you the trials and tribulations. I do, and then I walk away, and then it's like, oh well, maybe there's somebody interesting to meet or talk to. And yeah, I'd say I have some significant experience in that, unfortunately. Oh, you can't unmute yourself. Thank you for letting me know. Hang on one second. Wait, I think, give me 1 second to, there we go. Okay. Okay. You should now be, I just changed the settings. Sorry about that, guys. Thank you for letting me know, Lamb. You should now be able to unmute yourself if you have something that you want to share. Lamb's got his hand raised there. Lamb, how's it going?
Good. How are you, Stacy?
Good.
It's good to see you again. I was in your event here last week, and you blew my mind, and you did it again today. Thank you.
Oh, great.
I
I'm
like.
glad I live to amuse. This is my thing. So, well, I mean, presenting is something I get passionate about. So yeah.
Yeah,
So thank
I
you. I
wouldn't
appreciate
say
the kind words.
you're welcome. I wouldn't say amuse. I would say education for me.
Oh, good, good. Well, that, I'm glad to say that my teaching degree and my teaching certification, they're coming through for me, I think so.
I I like how you touch upon both sides of things. So I did have a
And forgive
comment
me,
that
Lamb, I just wanted to say, I do believe in balance, and I know there's both perspectives, though I can usually give my own experience and I can share what others have said to me. But so yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, that's okay. No. Yeah, I did have a comment about communication. I How should I put this? And you can touch upon this if you want. I feel it's hard. I live in the East Coast, let's say, and I feel it's harder to communicate here with people compared to other places on the planet. All right, let me just say that, and you can touch upon that and say whatever you want. The second thing, though, about relationship, about men female relationships. I'm a man, obviously, and I heard a little bit of what you said about the sexual part, and how you said that. Can you talk about a little bit about biology and between the age, even let me put the age of when a woman has her period, right? That means that she's fertile, and that's about the same age that men are also, their hormones are also. So why is sex so touchy when it's a biology thing? Is it,
I hear you.
Okay.
I hear you. So okay. So I'm gonna put this, and I may ask my friend Melissa, who is more of a psychology person, to chime in with her expertise. Okay, here's the thing. If what I'm trying to differentiate here is what someone's intentions are, and I am trying to delineate how to identify what that is. We are trying to identify someone who is real online. First of all, whether their profile is an accurate profile, whether they're telling the truth about the person. Okay, so that's number one. It's just knowing if this person is real. Then it's looking, is someone looking for a one night stand? Someone just looking for sex with a person? Or are they looking to build a long-term relationship where they're dating, then they're having their sex, they're together, they're committed? Okay, so I am not so much into the biology of why, whether what people want or not, as much as I'm trying to say, here's how to read this. So, you are matching with someone who has your interests in mind. Melissa, would you mind? I know you're great. You're with your expertise. Do you have anything to add? What do you think? Am I touching them right, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's perfect what you said, because it's like, are you on the same page of intentions? If somebody wants to get you to their house, is it for the same intentions, right? So I agree with what you're saying, Staci, because you're saying if they have these intentions to do this, the other person may not have those same intentions. So it's being clear with what exactly that means, going to each other's house or whatever that is. Plus, it's safer to meet like at a coffee shop or somewhere first, so you get to know each other on a level, so no one feels nervous, like, oh, we're alone in an apartment and I don't know, it's a different atmosphere.
Right. And I'm not saying that's not okay to meet for sex if that's what you both want. If it's not, then you have a problem. So that's really where I'm coming at with that, Liam. I hope that clarifies. Like, I can't say, why people want it or don't want it. I can't go that far because I'm not equipped to that. I'm just saying, here's how to read what someone's undertones are saying as far as their intentions go. I hope that clarifies things for
you. Thank you, Staci. A little bit. I could go a little bit deeper, but I don't want to take up the whole time of the. And what about the communication? Because it's basically and also an issue of communication, because maybe I'll just go a little bit deeper. Whether I don't know about everybody else, but whether I want it or not, my biology is kicking. So I'm going to talk about it at some point.
Got it.
I just don't think it, but maybe I'm wrong, yeah.
I think it's hard to know. I feel like personally, it's creepier when I have not met the person, when I don't know them in person, to see how my attraction is with that person. I feel like that's where
okay.
It's
okay.
That's where I have a barrier personally.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Staci. Can you talk about a little bit about the communication around, like, in the East Coast and around how we can have a better communication?
You are, I love that question. And you know what? I actually was thinking about putting together some, and I actually, when I was looking through the group and I asked people questions, what are the topics? I did notice that communication skills is something that people put out there. So I was actually going to try to put together a course on that. The reason that, I live in New Jersey, and it's really hard to meet people. And I'm like, how I see people in other states and they're meeting people and they get along and they're so nice to each other. And I'm like, it's so hard around here. People aren't like that. People don't. And I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm saying my experience, I don't see it very much where people are really outgoing and friendly and want to talk to people. I feel like we just live in this fast-paced world, and I don't want to blame New York, but I feel like it kind of stems from it. But I'm sorry, I don't have an answer for that, but I will try to help put some ideas out there more for that, and maybe collaborate with
Yeah, thank you,
listen to some
Stacy.
other folks. Yeah, I'm sorry I don't have an answer. It's just, it is a very difficult place to live. Yeah. So we need to think about these things when we think about where we want to live. And I'm not always happy with being in New Jersey either. I wish I was someplace where it was really cheery and friendly. That's, tell me where that is, and I'll go there. So, but I'm sorry. So I see Zachariah has her hand up, and I think we have a couple. Wendy, I know doesn't like New York. I know it. Life is so fast paced, and I feel like that fast paced world, it just kind of, people are in that world in New York, and then they live in other areas, Jersey, Connecticut, and around, and it just kind of trickles out, for whatever reason. Let me see. How Lori's asking, how can I deal with online dating burnout? Oh, I know. So advice is joining meetup groups. Like, I have a meetup group in addition to this one for virtual social events. I do some friend making events and occasionally some dating stuff, but I would look for online events. I would look for, try to meet people in the grocery store, try to meet people in coffee shops, restaurants, events, try to look for other avenues, which I feel like there just needs to be more social events. I feel like we need to do things in our world to get people out of the house. And if we can get people to stop thinking, but it's easier, I kind of I do the it's easier wine. We've got to convince people that, while it's a nice thing, if we can't get people to talk, I know I get burnt out. That's why I will go away from it, and or I'll date somebody, and yeah, it's really frustrating. I'm trying to think of some solutions, Lori. I'm going to try to, I'm making a note of this, solutions. I'll try to put solutions to burnout. I will try and work on that for another presentation, because I think maybe we can all like convey to other singles, we need to do other things. You know what I've noticed actually near me? The CVS, and I don't know if this is true everywhere, but I feel like there's all kinds of single people coming and going from the CVS. As crazy as that sounds, right? I don't know. And Zachariah, I'm not sure if I said your name right, has had her hand up.
Hi, Stacy. Yes, you can call me Kyra.
Oh, okay, great. Thanks, Kyra.
Yeah, thank you so much for this presentation. I saw your recording of another one a few weeks ago, and it's very insightful. So I actually have two questions.
Okay.
So my first one is, I'm actually a big fan of the virtual meetups and speaking to someone on video call before you actually meet with them in person. And I was wondering, how long do you recommend before you meet in a public place? Because I feel more comfortable giving it a few months, talking and exchanging with someone on like video and consistency, but usually around that time they lose interest. I feel very uncomfortable if someone wants to meet up in person after one video call. Like, I feel like, what's the rush with that? So like, what is a good cadence, do you think?
That's a good question, and I don't want to go against your comfort zone. Mine is, I will have like a conversation or an hour or something, and then I will go and meet them in person within maybe a week or two.
Okay.
Here's what I said, if what I'm want to verify is who this person is. Do I feel attraction to this person? Because they can put up pictures, but they can be old, or maybe not great lighting, maybe not really showing them off. I recommend definitely a public place, nothing too daunting for anyone. I actually, even like I prefer it to be more of a larger kind of a restaurant, maybe like a restaurant with a bar, like a TGI Fridays or something like that. Even bigger than a coffee shop, like not that I'm looking to go and have somebody be drunk or me get drunk or anything like that, but I just feel like I like to have a place where there's enough people around so you're not isolated with the person that you're meeting. And then, I mean, hey, maybe you need to have a friend sitting there in the restaurant that person doesn't know, just for safety. I'm about, excuse me, all about the safety, but I feel like I can get a sense. But I think several months may be a little bit too long. I think you want to see this person in person before too long.
Okay.
Yeah. Uh, but again, you need to feel comfortable. You need to feel safe. But if you're really looking, the person's going to be who they're going to be, right? They're either telling you the truth or not. I feel like you will be able to get a sense of the person if you can learn to read undertones, communication better to see them in person.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, thank you so much for that. And I guess that just comes, like you said, discernment and warming up to the person, seeing if you even feel like a connection there. And my second question was actually not only what you mentioned about communication, but you said how you talk with hands and like that when you are texting, it's like a lot gets lost in translation. And I recently went through a situation where this person thought I was coming off as someone I wasn't, because like everything was just lost in the text, and I could tell the person was very like offended and maybe even projecting from their insecurities a little bit, and I didn't mean anything from what I said. So how do you establish that rapport even in text, even though I know that's not the best way to communicate?
I know. And it's like, you want to say, well, Staci, do you think, hate texting? It's not that I hate texting. I don't like texting with somebody I don't know well, or if I'm having an extended conversation other than just saying, oh yeah, I'm at work right now. Hope you're having a great day. Okay, that's a text message. But if
Right.
I want to get to know them, I can't really do it that way. So I feel like it just, we can't fix everything, but we want to kind of start saying, look, I'd really like to actually get to know you and build our communication and try to convince them to do a video or a phone call. It's kind of like we've got this crutch now that's allowing us to just completely throw social norms out the window. So now we kind of have to rebuild it, and we need enough people to have awareness of it to to get it out there, to get it back into awareness that things are missing, that easy isn't better, easy isn't effective. And maybe we put it in our profile, a whole reasoning or whatever we think. That's that's all I can think of right now. So if there's anybody else that wants to chime in on that, I think we have some things in the chat.
Yes,
You don't want to waste your time for months. If anybody has any other thoughts, I'm sorry, Lamb, were you saying something?
yeah. I think there's one thing that's missing, and there is relationship coaches out there, but I think that more of them need to be around, so men and women maybe know how to proceed in relating with themselves and other people.
Exactly. I think, maybe we need to put some more blogs together, more discussions out, chats out there. Hey, here's
Yeah, more.
something. That's what I've been able to think of. But I'm definitely looking for more input if anybody has any other things.
Stacey, I would say, yeah, more awareness. Like, you can put something in your profile, you can write something about it, just to get the message out to more people. Everybody's on Facebook, Instagram, and so on. So whatever you're on, speak it. Like I said, this to me is also education. So just putting it out there more.
Great. Yeah, that's a great idea. Anyone else have any other ideas? I mean, I think that's at least a starting point in my view. Melissa, do you have any?
No, I think that's good what you guys are talking about. Yeah, just a good starting point, because the awareness is everything. I like how you're bringing this up tonight and talking about it, because it gets us, everybody understanding what, look for red flags, look for things. That's perfect.
Thanks, Melissa. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think Robin, yeah, and the red flags, watch out for people who make you feel bad, because there may be predators who just, there's people who, if they're in a bad mood, they want to spread it around and make other people feel bad. I'm a believer in, I try to put positive vibes out there, because to try to overcome those negative vibes. And moods and behaviors are very contagious, right? So if somebody's in a bad mood, sometimes they want to make you feel bad for wanting to go at your own pace. That's definitely a red flag too. I mean, if you want to slow down the pace, then there's an indicator that person may not be right for you too. So there's quite a few ways you can look at that. Good points from everybody. But I see a hand. I think I see more hands up. Carly?
I loved the presentation tonight, and I would like to see more about like setting boundaries when it comes to friendships and relationships and the red flags thing.
I'm just writing it down as you're saying that, Carly.
Because I think red flags and boundaries are important when it comes to friends and relationships.
Right. You're right. And I feel like we need to have agreements, like really written agreements, what we expect anymore, because we are living in that fast-paced world, and communications and information, it's just coming and going so fast. I mean, I look at I'm like, this social media, I'm like, how do people take this? Because there's just so much information coming in. And I just like to sit and look at my dog and cat videos, and I'm like, and I think we definitely need to put some some clear information on that. So I'll work on that, Lori. Carly, rather. I'm sorry about that. I'm looking at Lori. That thing just moved around. So thank you for your input. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Let's see. I don't know if the hands are still raised or if
Lori's is up, I think.
Oh, great. Lori.
Sorry.
Thank you, Melissa. I appreciate that.
Okay, Stacy, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, so here is, and I was actually putting this in a chat, but it got too long.
Okay.
Here's what I'm looking for. Okay. And maybe it's just for me to verbalize this.
Sure.
I want to be able to better sense the potential for ghosting in a person. So I'll give you a little background here. I met a gentleman online maybe about 2 months ago, and I take things super, super slow. So lots of talking on the phone, probably for a good 3.5 weeks. We met in person, big crowded restaurant. We had a really lovely time and whatnot. We went out again a couple weeks later afterwards and whatnot. And I felt like we had a really good time. He called me immediately after even the date ended, and we were on the phone for a good half an hour or whatnot. I should say we have had zero physical contact, not even hand holding, no kissing, nothing. Just I give him a warm hug, hello, and a warm, tight hug, goodbye. Okay. So he called me the very next day. I called him back, And I noticed, I said, things seem to be off. This person was calling me every other day. I used to say he was as regular as rain. Then all of a sudden, things started slowing down. And I got a text message from him that said, hey, I told him how stressed out I was at work. And he said, this was where I knew things were going left. When somebody says, I'm a Christian, but I know when somebody says, be blessed at the end of a text message, that's kind of a period. I was like, okay, something's up. So I texted him and I said, hey, is everything okay with you? Is anything wrong? Haven't heard from you. That was last Monday. I haven't heard a single word from this person. I am not going to call him, but here's where okay, so it's two parts. I want to get a better sense of how to sense that someone would be this immature. I'm an older adult. You know what I mean? This person is older as well. I got blindsided because I keep thinking I would never do something like that to someone. If I don't want to communicate with you, I'm going to say it as politely as possible. I didn't like that part, but the part that makes me angry is I let this person monopolize my time for 2 months. And so I'm pissed about that. And I want to know what to do with it.
Yes.
That's a lot, I know.
Yes. This is, if I had a solution, if I had a nickel for every time this happened to me or somebody else, okay. I think it comes down to reading people and thinking about what questions are you asking or you're not asking. It's going to be like digging down a little bit deeper. Are you putting out there what your intentions are? So I find that, some men, they'll be like right there. They're totally attentive for 2 weeks and then that's it. Their attention, is gone. So that would be my suggestion is really consider what are you asking and what conversations you're having, how deep in conversation are you going, and making sure. How many times did you meet him in person?
I met him twice.
Okay, in 2 months, right?
Right. We talked on the phone for a good almost a month before we met in person. So we met one time, like I said, we had dinner, drinks, whatnot, great conversation. It was fun and everything like that. He looked a little different than the pictures that I had sent him. He said, I look identical to the pictures that I sent him. I made sure of that. I told him I'm not the representative. I like presenting my true self, but this is a person who is nearly 60. So I was like, really? Is 60-year-olds, do they behave like 16-year-olds? Is that for real?
Oh yeah, that is for real. It's for real. I know a lot of people who do it. I have relatives that do it. I'm like, what? Like, you're 63 and you're doing what?
Yes, it's so freaking rude. It's rude. That's the thing about it, is like, I'm not going to fall into a million pieces. Just do the right thing here. You know what I mean?
Feeling like we should say, I don't have a cell phone to text.
Oh,
right.
Yes.
That's really what I want to do. I don't have a cell phone to text. Only the landline. They can't text you. I know.
That's
like
it,
the
though.
only thing I can think of.
But you know what? I listen. The thing is that with this online dating, I know you're supposed to kiss many frogs and blah blah blah.
I know.
I have a very difficult time with kissing many frogs. I like to go one at a time, but I'm telling you, myself, I'm 60 as well. I keep saying my post 60 years are not to be wasted. And I told this person that I feel like, even though he only got 2 months of my time, I'm like, dude, you wasted my time.
But what did he say when you said that?
you know, he said he felt the same way. He is a little bit, well, a couple months younger than me and whatnot. He said, yeah, I get you what you mean by that, but he didn't really say that that was his own philosophy. But I told him, I am as serious
That's
as
what you need to look for. You can say you're serious all you want. The action is what is going to tell you what his intentions are. And
Okay.
you got the action. It is not his intention.
Okay.
Now you know what to look for. If they don't give you, so maybe you shouldn't say that. You should ask him first what their philosophy is.
That's a good thought there. I am going to ask about the whole issue of if you find that things aren't going well between you and somebody you're dating and you want to basically end it, you know, on a friendly turn, how would you typically approach that? Would
There you go.
Would you send a text to some? I keep going in with,
Specific.
yes, but I keep going into these things with my own, the way that I carry myself. I'm like, I would never in a million years send somebody a text message.
You can't.
As painful as it is, I would get them on the horn and just say, listen, you know what, it's been so great, but I think we would just be better off kicking it as friends. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And yeah, I wish you the best.
That's it. Don't get too deep. You've got to ask them. You've got to dig and ask more questions.
All right. Well, listen,
more specific. So
I want to let my ghoster go, but I keep, even today, I was just like, oh, I should send him a freaking email and just say,
I know.
What were you thinking?
I didn't like you either.
It's good to laugh about it because I'm a little ticked off that he wasted my time. You know what I mean? So
I've had people do it even longer. I've had other people even go like 6 months, and like I've had people go through longer periods. So you found out. Let me tell you, you got off easy.
And I figured as much. I'm like, well, you didn't waste a year.
There it
with
is.
This person and
You
whatnot.
found it out before getting in a relationship with them.
All right, I appreciate it. Okay,
You're
let
welcome.
me vent. Letting
You're
me
welcome.
vent on that.
You're welcome. No
Thank
problem.
you.
Sure. And I have a couple minutes left. We've got I'm not sure who was first. Feel free to shout it out there.
I think it was Ghidorah was for next.
Ghidorah.
I think that's how you say it.
Thank you, Melissa. Appreciate that. Is she still with us? Ghidorah or Donna? Or Melissa? Let me see.
Yeah, I have
or
my
Melissa.
hand.
You have two. Let's go for Melissa.
I was going to respond to Lori because I've had several experiences with ghosting. It's hard to always tell, you know, but I want to tell you, Lori, that I'm proud of you for asking the question to figure that out, because it really wasn't a waste of time. It was a good experience because now you come here and we share and we talk about it. And some people, what I found is maturity comes with experience, not age. Because I've met people that are older than me that do not have the maturity level I do. And I'm thinking, why did that happen? Because they didn't get, kind of like what Staci's saying, if they didn't get out enough and have enough life experiences, they're not going to have the same type of maturity that we do. And so it's unfortunate. There's no like real great answer for it, but just know you're doing the right thing by, you know, coming on here and venting and talking about it and figuring out other solutions. So I just want to tell you that I'm proud of you for doing that, because I know it's not easy.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you so much, Melissa. Thank you. And I don't know, Donna, I think she went on.
Yes. Yes. Hi, Donna.
Hi.
I'm here. Hi. How are you?
Hi.
Good. I just wanted to comment on Lori and also a couple of other people who spoke. I think one point that hasn't come up since I've been in the conversation is I believe there's a basic difference between men and women in a lot of ways, of course, but I do think men expect things to move quicker physically in relationships. And I think that's what happens a lot of times in these things. Either they have expected something more is going to happen physically and the woman's not ready. Even kissing on the first date, I've had that come up. And I actually had one guy call me afterwards and he was like, almost in tears that I wouldn't kiss him on the first date. And I think men just have a higher expectation in that area than women do. And I think that's sometimes why these things drop off, or just don't work out, and they just move on to the next person. And women may do the same thing, but I don't think we touched on that enough. That I think men are just programmed differently than us. They want to talk about sex more, think about sex more than most women, and sometimes
Right.
it just doesn't match. And it's hard to know that
Yeah.
right from the beginning, sort of, I guess.
And Donna, just to piggyback on that, and I know what Lamb was saying earlier, my intention for this talk wasn't necessarily like the whole why and what the biological
Right.
factors. It was more of, here's what may not be working and why, and then how to identify kind of what people's intentions are. So I'm not a biologist. I can't necessarily go into the whole, or a psychologist. I'm not certified in that to go into the whole reasoning, but I know it does exist. So yes, you are going to have that too.
I truly believe that is a big kind of basic difference. What was that book? Men are from Venus, men are away from Mars, or whatever.
Yes,
I
that's a
think
great
that
book. I
comes
have
into
that book.
play a lot with dating, and I think the other part is that there's so many people out there. If that one little thing goes wrong, or the guy is sensing, oh, I think physically she's not going to go along with my program quickly enough, they kind of just move on and to the next person. Or a woman may revert, he's trying to be too pushy, so I'm going to end this and move on. But
Yeah.
I have definitely seen that. And it's kind of like that to me is a turn off on online dating. I don't want to have to deal with that expectation of a guy trying to right away go there with that, talk
Right.
about that, do that. It's like, hey, listen, you try to get to know each other. And even the whole kissing on the first date thing, comes up a lot, I think.
Yeah, because
And I
there's
think
all
men
these.
tend to want to do that,
Right. And that's the same if you go and meet somebody at school or in a bar or restaurant or wherever. It's kind of like, but you can see who they are and you can read those intentions
Yes.
faster when they're in person. Whereas I've got lots more barriers to online. First, I have to know if you're real.
Yes.
If you're who you say you are, right? There's these other screenings that I don't know if you're really who you say you are first.
Yes,
right.
Absolutely.
Like they put up pictures and it's really somebody sitting over in Nigeria, right? Are you are you this person in this photo? Do you really live where you say, right? I know you have background checks and things like that, but I can't see that, right?
Yeah.
So we've got that first. And then you've got, well, let me, prove you are who you say you are. Let me read what your intentions are. Are your intentions in line with my intentions? And, this goes on forever where they're like, well, you don't, if you don't buy the cow, if you can get the milk for free, right? So, and there's that, there's the pursuit that you typically want, that women typically want a male to pursue us and then work up to that moment where you want to be physically with that person. And now it's like, I don't have to wait because I can just go and lie to some girl and make her think I'm wonderful and get her to sleep with me. Da, 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 da.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And true. I also think that even when guys do want a relationship and they are sincere about it, sometimes their pace is just quicker than a lot of women want. It's they're just their expectations.
Yeah. And the more that women just give in,
and if not, I'm moving on.
That. Yeah, if the more women just give in and go for that, then the more that others lose out.
Yeah. So it can get very complicated for all.
Oh yeah. And now that's just a whole relationship thing. Maybe, that's a whole
Well, that's true too. I just
So,
I
but
think it's more prevalent online because there's such a number of people to pick from. People can easily stop working on a
Oh,
relationship
absolutely.
more quickly because they said, well, three other people contacted me next week. So, it's just getting, they're not doing what I want them to do.
And
so
then
I
there's
think
this whole belief I'll keep having guys say, oh, well, girls get so many more emails than guys do. And I'm like, I don't know about that. And
Well, I have to say, I've got that. I have a lot of opportunities to go out. So that hasn't been an issue for me, but I'm just
I
getting
guess what I'm really saying is, I get maybe a lot of emails, but they're not necessarily somebody I choose to go out.
maybe not people that you want to go out.
Right.
But
Right.
I don't think for me that's not such an issue. It's just trying to make it work once you do meet with them. And sometimes I'll say whatever it takes to get to meet, and then they start pushing a certain agenda or whatever. So it can be
That's
eternal. So I think sometimes when you get burned out, you just need to take a break from it and say, I've done that before. It's like I'm just not going to do this for a while. Try other things.
that's it.
So
That's all we can do. But
that's all you did. But thank you very much. Thank
no,
you.
you're welcome, Donna. And Ghidorah, are you there with us? I don't know if Ghidorah, maybe. You're on mute, Ghidorah? Okay. Well, you know what? I guess if she chimes in, or Ghidorah, if you can hear me, feel free to email me. But I'm gonna say goodnight to everybody. Thank you for the chat. I will try. I'm taking these ideas and I'm gonna work on talks for the future, and see what we can, put together. Try to come up with a solution for everybody. So thank you again, and thank you to Melissa for chiming in with your thoughts. I really appreciate that, and thank you everybody for coming tonight. Great seeing you, and look forward to seeing you again in the future. Have a great week, everybody. Hope this helps.
Thank you, Stacy.
You're welcome. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.